So this is Samsung's Z Fold 5 and it has finally arrived here in my hands. It's in the blue Samsung exclusive colorway. I like the two-tone kind of, the blue and the black, so I want to check it out. We also have Samsung's S Pen case and a protection film for the front cover, so we'll also be taking a look at these. So we're going to go ahead and unbox it, and at the end we'll also do a raw impressions video. So I'm actually unboxing this during my lunch break during my 9 to 5 job, and at the very end of the day I'll go ahead and do like a raw impressions of what I think of the phone so far, and also maybe do like a little bit of comparison versus the Z Fold 4. So without further ado, let's go ahead and unbox it. So I made a big boo-boo while recording this unboxing. I accidentally left the record levels, the audio levels really high, so there's a lot of clipping in the original footage, so you're getting voiceover. But basically here we have the box of the Z Fold 5. As you can see, it has the logo and the colors of the Z Fold 5. It's got the blue and the gray there to showcase these Samsung exclusive colors. On the box, there's nothing really special about it, so we're just going to go ahead and skip to actually unboxing it. One thing I do like here is that they now use pull tabs instead of having you use a knife or something to cut open the tape. It now has pull tabs, which is also nice for security reasons, making sure that no one steals your box, because I know Samsung or just FedEx or whatever, some carriers are notorious for stealing your box. So I'm glad that Samsung included these pull tabs. So once you open the box, you are presented with your fold, and if you have to make sure that at the top piece you pull out your little pamphlet section where you have a quick start guide, and you also have your cable as well as your SIM card ejection tool. So once you take the phone out, that's pretty much everything. Nowadays that's all you get. Removing the black piece, you'll get the beautiful Z Fold 5 and its blue colorway. So it is the blue with the black accents, which is really nice. It has a matte finish all around, so it reminds me a lot of the Z Fold 3 when it had that matte finish all around, which was really clean. This one once again has that matte finish, so it's really nice. And in the hand, I knew it felt pretty lightweight, and new hinge was pretty new. The gap, there is less gap now, so that's going to be something new to keep in mind with. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it there for the Z Fold 5 unboxing. And next we're going to take a look real quick at the new S Pen case. So with this one, when you open it up, you do have to use a knife. There's no special pull tab for it, but inside you get your pamphlets, your start guides, how to install it and whatnot. And then it pretty much slaps on pretty easily. The back piece codes the S Pen, and then the front piece, that piece does use adhesive little pieces of tape, so you do have to remove those before you actually can keep it on properly. But for the most part, it works and protects your phone for the most part. There is the exposure of the hinge on the left hand side of the phone, so that's something to keep in mind with this case. And the S Pen itself is a bit slimmer compared to last year's S Pen for the Z Fold 4, and it's got a more contrast look to it. It's got like a special color to it instead of matching the case. It's got a contrast yellow, which is nice. But yeah, that's pretty much it with the case. And now we're gonna just quickly unbox the Flex protector, the film for the Z Fold 5's front cover screen, and you get your tools to basically apply it and your instructions to apply it, and then you get 2 screen protectors, and they're film plasticky, so they're not hard glass. Or just keep that in mind if you're interested in that particular protector from Samsung. So that's pretty much it with the unboxing. So we'll now move ahead with the first impressions. So it's been a couple of days now since I've been using the Z Fold 5. I tried to make the first impressions second part of this video the same day that I unboxed it, but unfortunately I didn't have time. So it is a couple of days now after I've unboxed the phone. So I've been using it for a couple of days, and honestly my impressions are, it's very similar to the Z Fold 4. So a lot of the complaints that I had about the Z Fold 4 are still prevalent with the Z Fold 5 here, but there are some small minor adjustments and improvements that do add to the quality of life of the Z Fold 5. But I'm not going to say that it's definitely a big jump going from the Z Fold 4 to the Z Fold 5. So from the Z Fold 5, I like that it's a little bit lighter, just a hair lighter. It's also a hair thinner. The gap, there's basically no gap anymore. You can definitely still see a slight small gap if you look carefully, but not as big as it was on the Z Fold 4 here. The next thing I like is that, at least on this colorway, is that it's all matte all around. So the sides here are matte. It reminds me of the Z Fold 3. That one I'm pretty sure was matte for every color. I think the Z Fold 5 has a couple colors where it's glossy like the icy blue. This is just blue, and it comes with matte black railings or matte black sides, which is, in my opinion, it looks really clean. This blue also matches the case. So if you want a case that matches exactly the icy blue case, which I'm not sure why they call the phone icy blue, because I think it's a little bit lighter, and this just blue, and then this case icy blue. I think the case is called icy blue. Either way, the blue looks very nice. It's a little bit darker, which I like. The other one's a little bit lighter. But anyways, that's just the colorway, and I really like this colorway personally. The camera design here is just a little bit different. Number one, you'll notice that the flash is now built into the back of the phone here instead of being put into the camera bump here, which I find just annoying because it just means that cases are just a little bit different, and you do have to get a new case, so you can't obviously use your existing Z Fold 4 case. So if I were to put it on, you'll see it fits. It just, it covers up that flash, so you're not gonna see the flash or be able to use that flash, which may be okay for some people, but for me personally, I use it just as a flashlight, not for photos, but still, that's up to you to decide if you might want to save a couple bucks and give up that flash, but I don't think it's worth it. Another thing too with the cameras is that they actually stick out a little bit more. So the actual lenses themselves stick out just a little bit more compared to the Z Fold 4. I think the camera bump might be just a little bit slimmer, and instead of having a slightly thicker camera bump, now the lenses stick out a little bit more. But besides that, they look very similar from afar. The next thing I noticed is obviously the hinge. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it was kind of re-engineered, and it feels so much nicer opening it up. Now, I think it might also be because the Z Fold 4 is just about a year old now, so it's, it just feels a little bit not as stiff as it was before, but you can also hear some crackling sounds, and I believe that's got to be the screen protector that's probably peeling off from the middle here down the crease. So if I put this near my mic here, I'm not sure if it caught it, but it does make a slight creaking sound, which kind of makes me feel uncomfortable, like it's gonna crack, and one day I'm gonna open it up and it's gonna be a black line down the middle. So that's something of a concern. So that's also one of the reasons why I think I am gonna trade it in and just continue on with the Z Fold 5, is because it gives me a refresh in that 1-year warranty. So if something were to happen to the Z Fold 4, I'm kind of out of luck with the Z Fold 4 because the warranty expires and I don't have Samsung Plus or Care Plus or whatever. With the Z Fold 5, it does have that new warranty for the new year. So I feel more comfortable knowing that this might work or might last me a bit better. And if something were to happen, I have that warranty. But yeah, the hinge does feel a little bit smoother just because it's, again, I think it's newer and it was re-engineered, and it just feels really nice. And the next thing obviously is going to be that down the crease. On my Z Fold 4, I did get like these colorish looking look to it. So when you're on a white display, it has like a little look that it looks like something's going on within the display. And again, that might just be the wallpaper. So when you're looking down the middle, you'll see like a rainbowish looking color down the middle there. And it kind of bothered me for a while, but I learned to live with it eventually. And with the Z Fold 5, it's obviously not there right now because it's still brand new, which is good. And as far as the display, I think it's been pretty good. Now, it's the same exact dimensions from the Z Fold 4 to the Z Fold 5. So the inner display, I believe it's a 7.6-inch display. And on the outer display, I believe it's a 6.2 or 6.7 diagonally. It's still that tall candy bar looking type of feeling display. So again, the experience is going to be pretty much the same, where typing on here is quite a challenge if you have pretty big fingers and pretty big thumbs. But of course, you do have the ability to swipe on that keyboard, which does make it a little bit easier, which I personally is what I do. But honestly, I've been doing the same stuff that I did on the Z Fold 4, which is I use the front display for quick single app usage. So if I'm just going to be browsing and scrolling through one app at a time, it's going to feel pretty okay on the front display. And it's just overall a smooth display as well. And I think it is a little bit brighter this year. I think 1750 nits. I forget what last year's was. I think it was like around 1300 nittage. And I definitely noticed a bit of a difference, especially when I was outside using the cameras. I could definitely see the viewfinder a little bit brighter on the Z Fold 5 compared to the Z Fold 4. Now, I don't know if it's just the display or if it was also the power of the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 that was able to keep that display a little bit brighter for a longer time. But still, I felt like the display was pretty bright and pretty good overall, and smooth as well. It's still 120 Hertz on here, so it's really nice. So once again, we're back with a voiceover because I screwed up the audio. But either way, here I'm talking about the inner display. It's again the same dimensions, and it's also pretty much the same experience because of the same dimensions. So you're not going to get anything new as far as the experience, but the display overall is still very good as far as quality. It's very bright now. It's a little bit brighter than it was last year with the Z Fold 4. It's now, I think, 1750 nittage versus last year I think it was like around 1300 or so. So it wasn't as bright, and it definitely is noticeable outdoors. But either way, it's 120 Hz, so it's very smooth and very fast and responsive. The Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 as well on board. It makes it feel even snappier as well. The crease, you really don't notice it much. I mean, it's the same as it was for the Z Fold 4 in my opinion. I feel like you notice it just as much if you're at an angle or something. But if you're looking at it straight on, you won't notice it at all. You also have like a little plasticky feel when you're rubbing your hand over the crease. It does still feel the same as the Z Fold 4. And then last, you do have the under display camera still in the same spot, and I think it's the exact same camera as well, because there's not much of an improvement. I feel like you still notice it if you look for it, but otherwise it kind of just blends itself into the display. And display also really works well with 2 apps. So again, same experience as it did before. And you also have the ability to add an additional app at the bottom. This software stuff, it's gonna eventually, I'm sure, come to the Z Fold 4. I just don't see why they would keep it only exclusively for the Z Fold 5, except for maybe a couple months, and then bring it over to the Z Fold 4. And the phone is still IPX8 rated, so it's still only water resistant. It's not dust resistant yet. But I've seen videos, durability tests of people actually putting it through its tests with the sand and stuff like that, and it does pretty well. So it's kind of potentially dust resistant, but of course I'm not going to test that, and you can tread lightly as you please. And the biometrics are exactly the same as well. So you have your fingerprint sensor on the side here, which is a physical one, so it's very quick here. So as you can see, as I press my finger on there, you can have it set so that it turns on as soon as you touch it, and it'll automatically just detect your fingerprint and automatically unlock the device. It also has facial recognition. So I don't think I actually set it up yet, but if you were to set up facial recognition, you can use that as well on the outer display as well as on the inner display. So you can use the under display camera for your facial recognition biometrics. One thing I did notice that with this fingerprint sensor, I'm not sure if it's a hardware limitation or if they changed the fingerprint sensor or if it's just a software thing that they removed for right now. But that gesture that you could use to bring down the notifications is no longer available. It used to be available, but it got removed from the labs settings and it's no longer there. So you now have to use the Registar from GoodLock to double tap on the back to be able to bring down the notifications, if it even works. Doesn't even look like it's working. There we go. I miss it. I use it all the time. Yes, it caused a lot of accidental triggers when you accidentally swept it down, but it's still very useful because you could be, say, in Reddit or in any other app, and you can just swipe down with that gesture and bring down your notifications. Because if I were to double tap here, it still works, but it's just, see, you can see it's not the most reliable. So I definitely wish that they would bring it back, because that's a feature that I really enjoy. I just hope and pray that they didn't change the fingerprint sensor, that they made it so that the hardware isn't capable of doing it anymore. Next thing is the battery life, and it still has, I believe, the exact same battery size, which I think is 4,400 total for milliamp hours, and I honestly haven't noticed a massive jump in battery life. It of course depends on what kind of apps you're using and what kind of usage you're using. So if you're multitasking, if you're using the big display instead of the outer display, so there's lots of variables here that it may differ. But let me see what kind of battery life. I took some screenshots of the battery life that I've been getting. So let's see, for the past couple of days, my first day, we got 14 hours total with 3 hours of screen on time and 11 hours of standby time. This is some benchmark scores I just took of. Then the next day, we got 10 hours total with only 3 hours of screen on time and then 6 hours of background usage. The next day, we got 15 hours with 4 hours of screen on time and then 10 hours of screen off time. Next day, 15 hours again, this time 5 hours though of screen on time. And then last night we got 15 hours again, and then 4 hours and 39 minutes of screen on time. So you can see it lasts you pretty much the whole day. At least that's what I'm getting right now. And again, that was my usage, so it's just mostly Reddit, Spotify, music, YouTube, and stuff like that. So it's not really anything insane. I'm not playing a ton of games on this at the moment. So as you can see, it really is going to differ, and for me it's been lasting me all day, which was very slightly similar to the Z Fold 4. I think I had to charge this by the time it was like maybe an hour or two before I actually went to bed, whereas the Z Fold 5, it's getting me right to when I get to bed. So right by the time I have to go to sleep, I'm already going to sleep, so I just have to plug it in and let it charge overnight. So I am charging this guy every single night as of this week. And lastly, with the first impressions with the cameras, I personally don't really use cameras too often, but I took a couple shots, and I even put the Z Fold 4 shots next to it just so you can get a small comparison between them. But they should apparently be the same sensors. It's just the software that's going to be different with the new chip as well, with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, if that's going to make a difference to it. And I did notice, I think the only thing I noticed majorly was it looked like, at least on the viewfinder, was that the Z Fold 4 was a little bit more natural. I don't know if that's because I had the eye comfort shield turned on, which, by the way, quick pause here with the photos. You do have the ability now to use the enhanced eye comfort shield, which was something that's available on the S23 Ultra and was new. So what it does is that it reduces the amount of vibrancy and blue light from the screen even more compared to just the adaptive version. So both of them have the adaptive, but the Z Fold 5 now has the enhanced eye comfort shield. So it's both on the inner and on the outer, so whichever display you're using, it will work on both. So that may be something that I noticed, that when I was looking at the viewfinder, is that the Z Fold 5 looked a little bit less as vibrant. It didn't look as vibrant in the photo, so that might just be the viewfinder, so you guys can decide and see what you see there. I also did notice that as you were zooming in, I looked like it was doing a better job as the digital zoom, looking a little bit more processed, a little bit more detailed, so it looked a little bit better compared to the Z Fold 4, but not that massive of a difference. They both still capped out at 30x max zoom for photos, and then for videos, looked like the same to me, 4K quality. I didn't really see much of a difference there again, but as you were zooming in, it looked just slightly better maybe, but really not a huge difference. And then you still also have the under display camera that you can use for photos and videos if you wanted to, but that's mostly will only be used by someone if it's for like a video call or something, or for your facial recognition. And real quick, with these S Pen cases, I actually don't even have the S Pen module on this particular S Pen case. I actually kind of miss this case only because it has the built-in kickstand to it, so you can prop up your Fold if you wanted to and use the full screen as a viewfinder to watch your videos. They removed that with the this particular S Pen case version, but as far as the S Pen usage with it, I do like that it's a little bit slimmer, so if you do want to carry that S Pen with you at all times, you do have this case available. One thing to note though is that the S Pen isn't really held in that well. I've seen clips and videos of some people's cases where the pen just falls out very easily. So the way it works is that the S Pen kind of just lives in this slot, so it's kind of designed to just geometrically fit in there, but it can be taken out two different ways. So one, you do have this little like switch, or I don't even know what it's called, just something that pushes the S Pen out. So it pushes it out and you can just pop it right out. You also have the ability to literally poke it from down here and it'll cause it to come out just like that. So the S Pen can sometimes fall out, especially if you put it in the wrong way. It'll fall out easily, but definitely keep an eye out though. Your case may be defective. I've seen some people's cases where it doesn't hold it that well. Mine, fortunately enough, does hold it, so just something to keep in mind. But it fits pretty much the same as the other case did on the Z Fold 4. The back piece fits pretty well, clips on, and it won't be falling off. No issues with it, so it stays on pretty nicely. The issue, again, as it was last year, is that any front piece case that's standalone like this does have little stickers that you have to peel off and then attach it so that it sticks on properly, because otherwise, if you just attach the front piece case just as it is without those stickers being removed, first off, you see here the little pieces still flicks there or remains there, but not only that, is that the case just does not stay on properly. If you were to bump the case, drop your phone or something, the case is just gonna pop right off. So that's still an annoying thing with the Z Fold line, or just foldables in general, I'm sure, is that the front piece just doesn't want to stay on that well, and it requires an adhesive or something to keep it on. And also, the hinge is still exposed. I'm sure there's cases out there that can protect the hinge, but this particular case is not. It does not protect that hinge. Oh, something I forgot to mention here is that the logo here is no longer embossed, so you can't really feel it when you're rubbing your hand over it. I mean, obviously you can't feel it because it's like imprinted in. So just a small, slight difference compared to the Z Fold 4 here. But otherwise, that's small details. And then that's pretty much it, I think, with my first impressions with the Z Fold 5. Let me know what else you want to know about the Z Fold 5 below in the comments. I will be doing a full comparison between them, hopefully sometime soon here. But this has just been a first impressions with the Z Fold 5. Hopefully this somewhat helped you decide if you're in a pinch and a rush trying to purchase this device. I know there's probably a ton of videos already out there, but thank you for taking the time to take a look at mine. So this has been the Z Fold 5 first impressions and unboxing as we did earlier. So hopefully you guys enjoyed, and peace.